Well, we had to do a camera check. So here we are.
My check.
And our newest addition to the Tequila Aficionado family, Rick Thibault Levy, my brother. My baby brother. I used to make him drink bad tequila.
Oh.
Yeah. They were dark times.
I got news for you. He's not drinking bad tequila anymore.
He's not. He hasn't touched a bad tequila in a very long time.
No, but we do come up with some really
he's thinking
crazy
up a
names.
new brand. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should make it public?
He wants to.
Nobody's going to see that.
He thinks. What was her name?
I don't know.
In Aliens.
That's not her in Aliens.
That was the girl.
That's not Ridley.
No, it's not Ridley.
It's Michelle Rodriguez?
No, it's not Michelle Rodriguez.
Okay, then I don't know who you're talking about.
No, this girl was in Aliens. Let's see if we can put her up there. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
She was a badass.
I have no freaking idea who that was.
Yeah, she was like super badass. Anyway, Rick is like developing his own tequila here. Anyway,
where's Robert Rodriguez when we need him?
If he ever tunes in, he'll see that we've been talking about
Robert Rodriguez. We need we need a tequila from you, pal.
How about we pour some of the tequila of the
tonight?
The tequila du jour.
Which one would you like, blanco or reposado?
Put it up against your white T-shirt. Look, we're T-shirt twins.
Oh yeah, see, nobody can see that.
That's kind of stupid.
Nobody can see it.
Anyway. Tromba.
Can
you hear the thunder?
Can you hear the thunder? Let it rain. Tromba means thunderstorm, oncoming storm, and it is one of. Oh, look at that! Look at how beautiful! Look at the bubbles on this thing. It bubbles like shampoo, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I just put some shampoo in it.
No.
Is this one clean?
That's mine.
Oh, so you're gonna give me the?
I'm giving you the clean one.
So I get the glass that I caught the cat dusting the snifters. With his
I just put that snifter out there.
Okay, good. So then it was that snifter.
It was my snifter. You can tell it's been sniffed.
Okay, you drink out of that one.
Okay.
So I am pouring the Tromba Blanco.
I am pouring the Tromba Reposado. This particular brand has been around for quite a while. One of the brand owners who's not going to be able to join us tonight, but he and I have been in communication for a long time. Almost since its inception, and tonight
you had a hard time with that word, huh?
Yeah, I haven't even touched a drop yet. Inception. And
get your face in
one of the brand owners will be joining us tonight.
Am I crowding you?
No,
are we not lined
that's
up
fine.
Here?
And who will be joining us tonight? James Sherry.
James Sherry, Jimmy Tromba.
Yeah, Jimmy Tromba on Instagram, in case you're following. These guys are available on Instagram. They're available on Twitter. They're Facebook. They are everywhere. And the original owner, the gentleman that I was speaking to, started with this brand in Canada and also in Australia.
The hell you say?
Yeah. So this is an international brand to begin with. And I can tell you that they're very, very careful with which, once they've come to the United States, once they came to the U.S., they were very, very careful as to which states to grow into.
They were looking for a discerning audience.
And
let me tell you, this is a delightful Blanco.
They have been going on tour. If you can catch them on tour with their master distiller, which I think his name is Marco Sedano, I believe. I think it's Sedano. I'll have to ask him. He's an ingeniero. And his son have both been at these events. They also, you guys may have been, maybe those of you in Canada were around. The Tromba is a tequila that Tromba.
The picture on the back.
This is all new, ladies and gentlemen. It's a new look Tromba. Look at how beautiful that is. And
do the pictures line up? Did they make a portrait? Okay. All right, y'all at Tromba, you got to do this. You got to get the Blanco and the Reposado to line up and make a portrait.
I want an añejo, and I'm sure that's in the works. So we're going to be asking James Sherry a little bit more about what is in the future for Tromba. Are we recording? We are recording. Yeah, is he in? Is he on board? Is James available?
No.
No.
He has subscribed. He's not. We're early.
We're early?
We're really early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're hoping
But
to
I thought I'd have a swig or two before we start.
Go right ahead.
I'm a lot more fun when I drink.
For those of you there he is. For those of you who are watching us, it's a big day in tequila today.
What's the day in tequila?
Today is a big.
Hi guys.
Hey,
James Sherry, how are you? Look at him with his Toronto Blue Jays.
We're all wearing white t-shirts.
You got the memo.
Thanks for wearing the white t-shirts, guys.
That's it. We're all wearing the white t-shirts.
He's Australian.
He's Aussie. Yes, he is. First of all, welcome to Open Bar.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Congratulations. You guys have been. I got to ask you. I have been in communication with Tromba for a long time. How did all you guys come together? I know you started in Canada, right?
How did that magic storm happen?
So, mate, you originally touched base with my business partner, Eric, correct?
Right, exactly. Eric Brass. Actually, funny story. He was the first one to reach out to me, and we've had this long, ongoing conversation either on Facebook or email, but we've never really met in person. And then,
same as you and I. So I remember when I was moving to Chicago to remember to hit you up to say, okay, who should I go and talk to in Chicago? That's how I met Jason Lerner from Marcel Duel, and that's how we got started in Chicago. So it's good that, we haven't met in person yet. We've got this wonderful relationship that's now stretched to its third continent, I suppose.
Yeah, well, you're in Canada, Australia. Are you going to Canada, Australia, and the U.S.? Are you going? Any plans to go to the U.K. now?
Not as yet. I mean, we're still pretty much in our infancy in the U.S. We've expanded into 4 states so far, and we're looking to add a couple more before we stretch it out further internationally, I suppose.
So what states are you in?
Pardon?
What states are you in?
So we started out here in, I'm calling in from Chicago. We started out here in Illinois, then went to Maryland to service the Washington, D.C. market. And so,
right.
Excellent.
Big drinkers there in D.C.
Yeah, and we started sort of making our way into the U.S. tequila conversation through those cities. And have then gone to some larger tequila markets since, being New York, which was May of last year when we launched there, and Southern California, predominantly Los Angeles, where we launched back in January of this year. So,
wow.
As it stands, we've got a few ideas about where we want to take the brand here in the US, probably before we expand into Europe or have a serious, serious crack at Asia. Mm-hmm. That's not the tequila, by the way.
That's okay. Go ahead and hork up that hairball.
I'm moving, so there's a lot of dust around the house right now. Tequila's actually helping. Before we sort of have a serious look at Europe and sort of Central Asia, there's definitely, I think, a few things we should be doing here in the US, considering, what a great standing the spirit has in the overall drinking culture of the place.
Right.
Well, I applaud you guys. First of all, before we even get into that, I would like to know how it was that you and Eric and everybody involved with Tromba came together. Did you guys know each other for a long time, or how did that work out?
Yeah, it's a funny kind of a story of a group of, I guess, like-minded individuals coming together from different parts of the world to create a tequila that we wanted to use to take back to those different parts around the world and teach people about tequila. How it all came together was through a mutual friend of ours, Nick Reed. He was my best friend growing up. This is a guy I've known since I was 11 years old. He moved to Guadalajara for a university exchange. It was supposed to be 6 months. He ended up staying there close to 5 years because, as the
Because Guadalajara.
Untested story goes, he met a girl, they fell in love. They got
Yeah, it's always about a girl. It's always about a girl.
Now, how the Tromba sort of connection comes in. So this best friend of mine growing up, this is Eric Brass's college roommate when they were there.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
So Eric and Nick shared those initial experiences being from Melbourne, being from Toronto, where tequila, let alone premium tequila, basically has no doesn't exist in the market. To being in Guadalajara, where you're exposed to this most amazing spirit category and tequila drink culture in general. So for you talk to those guys, it was definitely like love at first drink in Guadalajara for them and tequila. And then if you ask me about it, thinking my best friend would never move back to Australia, I decided I better get over to Mexico and see what the fuss was all about. So my experiences in tequila, like theirs, were being introduced to it in the heartland for tequila. We've got a bunch of different sort of pivotal moments in our personal histories that brought us all together. One was at Nick's wedding. That's where I met Eric for the first time. I met him at Nick's wedding. Wow. And there were like 200 Mexicans and about 50 or 60 Australians. We couldn't really understand each other.
Oh, no.
Couldn't really understand each other, but what they did understand was they were having a great time and they were sitting around drinking Palomas for a party that lasted well into the early hours. That's a pivotal moment. Meeting our business partners, Marco and Rodrigo Sedano, like that's another moment. Knowing that what we wanted to do by starting a brand was to capture that tequila drinking culture, take it to places like Melbourne and Toronto that hadn't previously been exposed to it. And hearing, particularly Marco tell us about his vision for tequila is he wanted to create a tequila that could teach the world what a great experience drinking tequila actually is. So definitely like that moment when we all met in Guadalajara in early 2010, we'd been speaking to these guys like we are right now over Skype for a long time. But meeting them and knowing that they weren't interested in creating a bottle, they were interested in creating a brand, being part of the process with us, being fully fledged owners, not just consultants for some liquid, was really exciting. And that sort of, I guess that first week we spent together, touring around different parts of Jalisco and what I thought I knew a lot about tequila before I took this trip.
No.
And then having Marco and Rodrigo to sit down with, over weeks, as it turned out, and for them to impart their knowledge and their passion on the projects was just amazing. So from that initial kind of, well, if Nick hadn't met Lupita, he would have come back to Melbourne. I don't think he would have ever met Eric, and this would never have happened. So it's really it's down to those two kids, and I guess us as a team coming together and working really hard to make a piece of it.
It really is the perfect. It really is the perfect storm.
Yeah, perfect storm for sure. The other one is 2 Australians, a Canadian, and 2 Mexicans walk into an agave field. Like that's another thing we say to people.
Sounds like a joke. I want to hear the punchline.
No kidding.
Who thought of the name?
It came from Nick actually. He used to work in a high-rise office in Guadalajara, and he said his desk mate, the girl who would sit next to him every day, when those storms during the rainy season would come in, she'd like yell out, "Oh, look at the Tromba coming through." And Nick tells us it's just a name that really, it's just a word that stuck in his head. And when we came to authoring the brand, he put it out there, and I'm like, well, what does that mean? It's like violent rainstorm. It means big rain. I said, well, that's an amazing thing.
Perfect.
to name our tequila after. For one, it's like a slang word from Los Altos, so you don't really hear it that much. So we can, we're getting like that connection to Los Altos is a big deal.
Right.
We're very much a Highland style tequila. So when we name our brand after an event that happens in the Highlands of Jalisco, we want to point to that. We also wanted to, considering we were going to have such an international flavor to our tequila, and I mean to our brand, not to our tequila, but to our actual brand. We wanted something that was going to help us teach people about where tequila comes from. And a lot of the brands that have gone before us, you see, decorated with cacti, relating back to more of a desert kind of a thing rather than, the lush and fertile highlands of Los Altos, which, as far as landscape goes, I put it up there in terms of some of the most spectacular wine countries around the world,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
More so than arid desert, which some people at times would relate back to their bad tequila drinking experiences, something that was hot and I guess a little bit dirty, a little bit dangerous. Whereas, what we were trying to evoke was the spirit of Los Altos and all the flavor, history, and imagery that comes with that.
I got to say, from the very, very beginning, when Eric and I communicated, and you and I, you guys have been so careful and so really nurturing the brand along to make sure that you did things the right way, that it looked the right in the right fashion, even when it came to what states you wanted to come into. I all of a sudden I'd get something in the middle of the night from Eric and a message or something, and
he's good at that. He's good at those late night messages.
Yeah, well, because I never knew where he was, whether he was in Canada or Australia. I never knew where he was calling from, because it could have been daytime, where I was.
Genius never sleeps.
Yeah, and I'm up in the middle of the night anyway. So, and you see where you came from the very beginning when we first got those first bottles to right now, the new look. You've really stayed very, very true to your your image and what you're standing for. I love how's the response been with your, they're going on tour a lot of the times with your master distiller and his son. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. How does that go? Because I really would love to meet this gentleman, because your flavor profile on this, I've had tequilas from this distillery before, but usually at a lighter, more of the Mexican bottling at 36 to 38 ABV. And I really enjoy the Blanco flavor profile. It's got a hint of a bitterness that I like. It gives it it's not a bitterness that takes away from the flavor profile, but adds to it. And I really like it because it just gives it that extra punch.
Yeah, is that on the finish? You get that, Mike?
Yeah. On the back end, on the back of the palate, usually.
Yeah.
It's not so much on the aroma, but it really is different from the other Highlands tequilas that I've had.
Yeah. And well, that's by design. That's down to Marco's process. He's designed a tequila here. It's actually worked out, by coincidence or by skill. It's probably halfway in between. Marco designed a tequila here, the Blanco in particular, that he wanted to have a really long finish to. He wanted, after you'd taken that sip, for that agave flavor to linger on your palate long after you'd taken in the spirit.
Yeah,
and
you've had it.
You mentioned a slight bitter flavor. That's probably like yourself, or I get a white pepper kind of finish to the Blanco tequila. And truth be told, so Marco designed this tequila with the attempt at having a long finish. What he's gone and designed alongside it is a Blanco tequila that has become really popular with bartenders because it's something that they can serve straight. It's a tequila they can use to introduce because it's still, it's still got those nice firing characteristics like sweet floral nature to it, despite that kind of kick at the end. So what we've got here is something that bartenders can use to introduce people to drinking straight tequila, but also something they can use in your more citrus-heavy tequila classic cocktails. So the agave flavor punches through that lime juice and making some really sort of delicious margarita Paloma style cocktails.
It really is a stellar brand that it's well worth, if you're watching this and you've seen our sipping off the cuffs, or for those of you who are watching or seeing this on replay, check out our sipping off the cuff on Tromba. We fell all over ourselves on it because it really is it's well worth looking for, and yet because of the nature of how these guys are nurturing the brand, you're not going to be able to find it everywhere. But now that you're in California,
that'll open up a lot more, I'm sure.
Yes, Southern California and New York and in the Midwest and Chicago and Illinois, the three major hotbeds. And one day I'm sure we'll see it here in Texas.
One day in Texas, yeah.
But for now, really, it's well worth looking for.
Thank you very much for saying. You've brought it up a couple of times that we're pretty careful with the brand and all that sort of stuff. It's been because the experienced people in our brand, Marco and Rodrigo, are based in Mexico. They have their task of creating Tromba and creating some first-class tequila. So they give us the tools with which to go out into the market. It's up to us, who are based outside of Mexico, to introduce it to as many people as possible.
You managed to accomplish that.
Yeah, but it has been a slow process. We've been at it for 6 years, and we're still getting the name of the brand out there. And it's something that, myself and Nick and Eric and Rodrigo, for that matter, have definitely picked up from Marco's lead. His entire career has been about no compromises. No compromises in terms of the quality of agave that we start with, no compromises in the production process in any step of the road, and that's it. And so, when we decide on a market, for instance, I moved over here to Chicago because
that was a big step.
We just weren't going to come here, dump a bunch of cases on an unsuspecting distributor, and then go, now it's your job to sell it. No, I moved here so we can create a presence in the market, impart the passion that it takes to sell craft spirits like we are. And you mentioned that Marco and Rodrigo have been touring a few US cities over the last 12 months.
Yes.
And Marco has recently been out to Australia as well, which has been amazing.
I saw that.
And that's like a culmination of a lot of years' work of us seeding the brand in the market, and then bringing sort of Marco and Rodrigo in to really impart their vision. And that we figure that's really important as well. That's really important because the craft tequila, as big as the categories become, is still coming up. You ask any guy on the street to name a tequila, and he'll throw out the usual brand calls. He'll call for a Patron or a Don Julio, and that's about it. So it's kind of like, we've been careful in fostering the brand, and that's sort of seen as like a slow growth. But at the same time, that's kind of feel like that's how we had to do it.
Well,
it's a slow industry to grow in, though.
Well, but the other thing too is the staying power of these brands. In our opinion, and we've had people write about that, is that you survive 5 years or longer in the business with this brand. You've definitely got your legs. You've got a solid foundation, and I love the fact that you guys started out and still are a true craft brand, where everybody else, like the usual suspects, everybody's backpedaling. Everybody's telling you this is a craft, or we're starting these new lines and whatever. But you guys started that way. You didn't pretend to be anything else but. And that's the beauty. We were so happy to have you guys on board on our tour last year
That was wonderful.
on our Tequila Mezcal tour, because we had several brands that are, they're all in the same boat. In fact, you remind me a lot of Gracias a Dios, and they're a mezcal, and it's just a bunch of guys who were friends and just didn't want to compromise. And in fact, one of them did the same thing you did. He came to Texas. He moved here to maintain, to open that market. And that's a successful move.
Yeah.
Probably a culture shock for you because.
Oh, yeah. Still, I've been here 2 years. I get shocked every day.
Wow.
So what are the challenges that you're finding now, especially as somebody from another country moving into a state that's as busy in the Midwest as any other? What are your challenges that you're finding with Tromba, with what you're doing?
I think education is still key. I think that the more we can arm both trade and consumers alike with as much information about the brand as we possibly can, or the more likely we are to succeed in getting our brand out there and getting our message out there, that sort of thing. Sadly, it's still like a war being fought on price point. Price is king. And it's funny, there's some other agave legends touring Chicago recently, last week actually. David from San Brazil.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Judah from Mezcal Vago were in town.
Yes.
And
fine people.
Both of them pointed out a couple of really interesting points that stuck with me. And David was talking about agave pricing. He was talking about, all right, so we know how much agave from this particular region, from where this particular tequila comes from. So when we factor in how much agave you need to have to produce one bottle, and then we sort of reverse pricing going back that way, and then you've got some sort of 100% agave tequila that costs $9 a liter, there's something suspicious about that. There's something weird going on.
Yeah.
Right. I think that a bit of education in terms of the actual cost of producing high quality craft tequila, and then relating that to the market is really important, because
where do you find most of that conflict? Where do you find it on the distributor end, on the consumer end, or on the mixology end of it?
I don't find it so challenging on the mixology front, because I think that when you present something that, like I was saying before, that is of use to bartenders and to people running beverage programs, then the response is usually quite positive. The response is, as well sometimes is, sorry, that's too expensive for us. We need to hit this margin, which is disappointing. I'm concerned about it. I'm concerned about it on a consumer side of things. I think we've worked so hard to try and, and we, as an industry, have worked so hard to change the reputation for tequila, particularly over the last 30 years or so, which Marco is a big part of that.
Oh yeah.
And then you still see the mixtos, but even like the industrial 100% agave tequilas come in, and then they sit on a shelf for between sort of 15, or probably less, between sort of 10 and 15 bucks for a bottle. And a lot of the time, because again, going back to education, undereducated consumers will just come in and they go, okay, I'm willing to spend this amount of money, so I'm going to choose that tequila or something like that. And they take that away, and then they go and have that experience that I get people telling me about every week. Oh, I had this one experience on tequila, and I'm never drinking it again. So it kind of, it's a concern on a couple of different fronts for mine. That's the challenge, I should say, is what you're asking. That's the biggest challenge that presents it. So it's kind of like where price meets education.
Wow, that's a great crossroads. I know that you and Eric and all the folks involved at Tromba do events where you can maximize the exposure, and you guys are literally, and I'll bring this up, you guys are literally in the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah.
As having, you did this in Canada, right?
We did, yeah, in Toronto.
Yeah, it's the largest. It's the largest shot salute, the largest toast,
largest tequila tasting in the world.
In the world. Wow. That's craziness.
Yeah. And Joe, I didn't even get invited to that.
Oh, you didn't even go. We need to have the largest tequila sipping in the world.
Yeah, maybe. I was living in Sydney at the time, so it was pretty difficult for me to get to Toronto for the weekend. But Eric and Pete and the whole team up there put on a really stellar event. It's something that every time I meet someone from Toronto, like everyone from the industry in Toronto, someone at Eric sort of sends down to Chicago, or if I have been back since that event to Toronto. It gets brought up quite a bit. Oh, I was at that tasting you guys did. I was like, oh, that's good. I wasn't. I'm pretty jealous.
Have you gotten together with your other partners and decided how to get more of the word out, or is this because I know that you guys do. First of all, you've had a really neat. I don't want it for lack of an animation. Commercial, like an animation commercial that was beautifully done. It came up, and I know that I shared it like crazy because I loved how it started. It really explained your story and how you wanted to describe the Highlands and the story of your tequila in an illustration, in an animation. And I really enjoyed that. So what are you planning in the future to get that word out? Because you're in 3 of the largest markets in the United States. So, and that's by design as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How are you? What are you doing to amass an army of followers so that they can get the word out? How can we help you besides doing stuff like this?
We're all about the army.
We're all about the army, man.
Stuff like this helps for sure. A quick shout out to Andrew Montague, who's the animator / director behind that video. He did that for I went to film school with this guy, and he was actually talented, so he went into the film industry. So I had to find something else to do. And he did that for us for free because he loved our brand so much, and he was he just finished working for the company that did all the visual effects for Harry Potter. He's like, I've got to put something together with everything that I've learned here and then strike out on my own. And so he chose Tromba as one of the brands that he did. And I'm grateful he did because, that's a great little piece of education right there.
Yes.
It looks spectacular. I love it. And
do you still use it? Do you use it like before you do an education or a staff training?
If I've got the audio visual means, I always use it. Yeah, I use that alongside another video of an event we did called the Golden Koa, which featured a competition between local humidors. That's something that we're looking at. That's nearly 5 years ago. That's something I definitely look on bringing back, hopefully next year, because I think as an event, it's one of the craziest parties I've ever been to. And,
wow.
And as an educational tool for the brand, I think it's really really important to highlight. And this is a big directive from Marcos to highlight the families that grow the agave that give us this amazing plant with which to ply our trade. And
totally agree.
And the people who work so hard to harvest those plants, I think a little festival in their honor is never going to be a bad idea.
That's the least we could do. I know you mentioned David Searle previously, and David started the Tequila Interchange Project, and that is one of the concerns that they're trying to address is the plight of the jimadores.
Yeah, it's not a great sort of what am I trying to say? It shouldn't be a big point of pride for the industry that the people who work probably the hardest get the least out of it.
Yeah, it really is. They're very. If you've ever been to a distillery, you've ever been to a harvesting, and you've watched these guys work and how quickly they work.
Yeah,
especially when they're a team, because these guys work in teams. The ones that I was exposed to, it's got to be the hardest. It's the toughest job you'll ever see, and I won't even attempt. I won't do the P. Diddy in my suit trying to, cut an agave with a koa. I am not that kind of guy. It's a skill set that it's handed down. It's very familial. It's something you have to grow into. It's something you're born into, and it's the hardest job you'll ever see.
Yeah, I attempted to go to Pini once. I'll never do it again.
No,
I just felt so ashamed that I murdered this beautiful plant. By the time I was finished with it, it was like hacked to pieces.
Yeah, I'd rather hack it in fours or in halves. I'd rather take the axe and do that, or feed it to the oven or something. I would rather carry it. And even then, if it's now, are you all estate grown, or are you buying specifically from certain growers? Where do you source your agave? Is Marco the one in charge of doing stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we make our tequila in such small batches that we can afford to be quite selective with the agave that we use. Marco's got nearly 40 years of experience in the industry now, and he's got about 5 families of agave growers that he's relied on over the past from which to source our agave. We're afforded premium access to some pretty amazing agave. These families have fields around Arundus, Totsanilco, and Ireland.
Nice.
So they're all within about 40 miles of Casa Tequilera, which is where we get tequila.
Right.
And the process is basically, okay, Marco, it's time to go into production again. And be it Don Rubin, who we've worked really closely with, or some of the other families, he'll go out and walk those fields, choose exactly what he wants to do. Rodrigo is at pains to remind us all the time that these are families that he's grown up with, and they're guys that they've collaborated with for a long time. And there's reasons for it, notably because they do produce fantastic agave with that sort of no compromises attitude to it. But also, they will allow Marco and Rodrigo to go through extensive testing of the plants themselves.
Excellent.
Which is something that when Marco and Roy go and do these information sort of sessions all over the world now, which is cool for them.
Yeah, that's cool.
He takes everyone through the process very, I guess,
very meticulously.
Meticulously, yeah. I was going to say it's a painstaking process, and that's how he sort of delivers the information. So he'll tell you that, okay, standard, if we were just trying to pump out as much tequila as possibly can, we'd go, let's get that field, and that field. and then we'll test 2 or 3 pinas from every truck that rolls into the distillery, and then away we go. We've got the luxury again of them walking the fields and selecting it themselves, row by row, if not plant by plant, and then going through a testing process of about 70 or 80 pinas per truck as well. So ensure that the quality is right there, the sugar content is where it needs to be for us to produce some pretty amazing Blanco tequila. So yeah, it's whilst it's not estate grown, the partnerships we have in Los Altos and the I guess like the hands-on approach that Marco and Rodrigo have is real. It's an amazing thing for us to be able to start off the production process with.
Well, yeah, to be able to work so closely with your growers, to know your growers, and to, you know, I mean, these guys have grown up together. They trust each other.
Yeah,
they know they have the same standards. They have the same, you know, as far as this particular tequila goes, they have the same ideas, and they're working together, and that's wonderful to hear that they are doing that. I mean, it's exciting to hear about the whole process. I love hearing these stories about these, you know, the growers that are working with the distillers, and the distillers that have been these master distillers that have been doing this, you know, all their lives, and then their fathers were doing it before them, and their fathers' fathers, and so on.
Well, that's what we have with Tromba. Is something we're really excited about. Something that Marco's really excited about as well. Is that a big part of, like, I guess what attracted him to work with us in the first place was his son Rodrigo is our age, and Marco is very much he's all about
probably more mileage.
But what he's doing now is, you know, Rodrigo is very much, you know, learning at the feet of the master. He's apprentice in everything that he does.
Yeah,
excellent.
Marco's kind of excited to usher in the next generation of tequileros, basically.
That's so cool. I wish we had Marco online with us, because I know that
we can set that sometime for sure.
Yeah, I know that Eric had told me that he let me know when Marco was going to start going on tour with you, and it's like, you know, because we've had some wonderful maestro tequileros at our dinner table here, where we're talking to you, and it's always, you know, it's always an education. It's one of those where you're always learning, and you just shut up and listen to them talk. And I can only imagine. I can't wait for you guys to eventually come to Texas. It's really, really old school tequila. It started as craft. It's going to continue to stay as craft. I love what Marco and his son are doing. And now, tell me, is Tromba all that you guys are doing, all three of you, or still, is it still, you know, because it's not uncommon that you have a brand owner that, you know, I mean, you guys are 5, 6, 7 years into it, and you're still considered a startup.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not uncommon that you're doing something else to pay the bills, you know.
Yeah, it started out that way. I guess, you know, it started out, I thought, yeah, this is something I'll do in my spare time. And now, what's spare time? What does that look like?
I'm sorry, we didn't mean to laugh at you. We're laughing with you. Okay?
You can laugh at me too. I haven't had spare time in 7 years.
We thought we'd do Tequila Aficionado in our spare time.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so I was the first one, because I was pretty much the first one to go full time on it back in Australia when we launched there. Nick and Eric basically kept their jobs throughout the development process of Tromba, and essentially, I don't know how neither of them got fired from their jobs, but they kept them. Basically, they kept them for as long as they possibly could without getting fired. The whole dream of starting this in the first place was, you know, the idea. Like Nick and Eric would tell you the same, as what we want to be able to do just quit our jobs and do this full time. And we ended up being able to do that, which is awesome. So it's every waking minute is Tromba, and has for all of us, and has been that for a long time now, which is it's like when we turn around and go, oh well, we're just getting started really, and we've got to do this, and there's so much more we need to do. When I hear myself say it out loud, that's a really cool thing. The five of us, well, especially Nick and Eric and myself, not coming from a spirits industry background or anything like that.
Yeah, none of you have spirits industry background, correct?
Nick,
you were an illustrator?
Sorry?
You said you were an animator or an illustrator? Is that what you were saying?
I worked in TV as like a freelance production assistant kind of job, so like a lot of live studio TV shows. Eric in finance, Nick was a tax accountant, I think. Like Nick just has described me his jobs many times, and I just used to tell people he was a tax accountant. Much to his chagrin. But yeah, the fact that we've been able to, the fact that we set out to create our own tequila company, and we did it, and that's what we do now, is pretty cool.
That is.
Well, it's really, it's unlike, and I keep telling people this. I do some consulting on to pay the bills. And
don't say on the side, because
it's not on the side. It's actually what I do, because Tequila Aficionado is basically a labor of love. But the thing with it's not. It's unlike any other industry, because even in this spirits industry, you can do whiskey or vodka or rum and get a much quicker return on your investment.
Big time.
But with tequila, and I keep telling people
it's
this.
It's more like the wine industry.
Well, no, it's even further off than wine, because you get a yearly harvest.
Right.
But with tequila, it takes 7 years in the ground, 7 to 8 years, or maybe longer, before you get a Blanco tequila. It's really the only spirit that's aged in the ground before you get it like this, unaged. Yeah. And for anybody who's a farmer or a jimador or a brand owner, they get that. They know that they're in it for the long run.
Yeah.
And it's really unlike any other spirits in the industry at all, because there's a reason why tequila will always bring up the rear in all the statistics. Marketing wise, because I kind of look at things two different ways, as a consumer and from the marketing aspect. Marketing wise, we can borrow benefits from the whiskey and the vodka and the rum and the wine industry. But when it comes to numbers, we're always going to bring up the rear, because there's just no way to accelerate the growth of craft tequila. You can't do it. And if they say that they're doing it, they're lying to you.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's ways to go about that. Obviously, like you said, Marco will say, if we were going to mass produce this, we'd take agave from here and here and here. But we're not doing that.
No.
We're doing Tromba.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're gonna take it from here and here only. And I love, I say that I love it, but as a consultant, there are times when I spoke to Eric, or we wrote, because we didn't really speak at all, and it was almost frustrating. It was like, man, this is taking forever. It's like trudging through mud, But I understand it. I get it, because it's the fostering and nurturing of something that's going to outlast you guys.
Yeah, and hopefully that's the case. Yeah,
right. It's a legacy
for sure. I mean, when we first got interested in tequila, and looking at introducing tequila to different parts of the world, we also we looked at, maybe we can import this brand, or we can do that brand, or why don't we ask those guys if they want to be part of a portfolio for Tromba and all that sort of stuff. And every time those conversations came back to, yeah, but it's not good enough, or this doesn't work, or the focus that say a mezcal brand or something like that would take away from Tromba isn't worth it. So it all comes back to again that unwillingness to compromise with what we were ourselves going to introduce to the market. We could have bought a tequila that we didn't love and gone from there. Instead, we took the far more lengthy process, far more painful process.
We have a tequila brand owner that calls it the road less traveled.
Yeah, to create a brand that said everything we want to say about tequila. I'm glad we did, because I don't know how I'd be able to talk to people about someone else's brand. This is our brand. This is why when we go and enter new markets, we get a pretty favorable response most of the time, because we speak with passion to our brand. We would never have been able to work with Marco and Rodrigo if we'd done something different like that.
Right.
And
exactly.
It's the five of us kind of together bring a lot of complementary attributes to what I'm really pleased to see to a brand that genders a really positive response out of just about everybody who comes in contact with it.
Yeah,
it's certainly a brand that we here at Tequila Aficionado are more than happy to show and to endorse and promote. I'm sure that Jason Lerner was. I remember getting a text from him. He was so excited, and he when he got Tromba and when he tasted it, because he's like any other owner of a restaurant or a bar. He's going to be skeptical until he tastes the juice, and then when he got behind it, he just went bananas.
Yeah.
I was so glad, because at the time, in his area, his region of Chicago, he was the only tequileria in town. Now you guys have grown to the point where there are other outlets, other venues that you can, that can support you. And that's great to hear, because, 4 or 5 years ago, he was it.
It's great that Azul was able to bring that, to bring those new flavors into the town. And with something like Tromba, you're going to create a demand, just getting it past people's lips. And
Jason's good at that. Like I got to Jason's place not to drink Tromba, to try everything else, because I go, Jay, what's new? And they're like, oh, and then 4 bottles will come out to my table.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I'm like, all right, here we go again. Thanks a lot.
That sounds like Jason. That's him. He's such an agave evangelist, which is his Twitter handle anyway. That I can't. He's actually paved the way for people in that area to.
He really has. He's educated people in the area about what they should be drinking, and they're demanding it. When they go to other places in the area, they're asking for it.
Yeah,
and that's wonderful.
It's word of mouth,
and it creates more business for those business owners, and it creates more business for you guys.
Now, what do you and the guys at Tromba want the consumers, our viewers out there? What do you want them to know? If you had one thing to tell them that you wanted them to know about Tromba, what would it be?
One thing that they need to know. Well, I think it all ties back into our master distiller, Marco Sedano. Like, yeah, we've got a story of our own to tell because of why Tromba exists and why an Australian lives in America and selling a Mexican product, that sort of thing. But I think one thing we want to communicate to people about Tromba is Marco Sedano, master distiller of 40 years, the guy who basically invented the premium tequila category. It's his first independent brand that he's come to from an ownership perspective, and this is exactly what he wants to say about tequila in the world. So I would say that, the one thing I'd want to pass on is the man behind this bottle, and his experience and technique and his philosophy on education, the way he's passing on his skill set to his son. That entirely encapsulates, or rather, what is in the bottle here encapsulates is very representative of the man himself. So, yeah, I think that's what I'd want to say, and that's what we're saying. That's what we're doing now. With I think in the first 3 years of Tromba, I'm not sure Marco left Mexico, and I'd say in the last 12 months we've taken him to maybe 12 different cities, wow. And getting his philosophy out there, his story, his often unheard story, and he's got a couple of good stories.
Now, does he? How good is his English?
It's okay. It's better than my Spanish.
I wish
we have.
I wish we'd been able to have him on, with you.
We have Mark. We have Rodrigo to come, on these tours, to not only lend his expertise, through his role in the process, but also to help Marco clarify some points where he gets tripped up on language. So
to translate also, yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I know from the photographs that we've seen, and again, if you're watching this on the replay or you're watching this right now live, you can find Tromba on Facebook. You can find him. You guys are on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
I think you're on Twitter. Do all of you handle your social media, or do you do that separately?
So I'm not sure Nick Reed knows what social media is.
So you're the guy, right? You're the one?
No, Eric's very big on Twitter, and we have Maria, who works for us, who's doing a great job sort of organizing the global Instagram, Facebook platforms for us.
Yeah,
I've just given up doing anything on the Tromba stuff, so that's why I had my own separate ones.
Right.
Well, it's Tromba Jim if you want to find him on Instagram.
Yeah.
And we follow all you guys, but I love, I look at the pictures that I see on Facebook, for instance, and I see the intensity of Marco and Rodrigo. That they're really very, very close. It's wonderful to see all of you guys on the same page.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
we've been doing this together for a long time. It's our default setting. Whilst we have vigorous discussion on a lot of different things concerning the brand, the company, all that sort of stuff, the default setting is usually we all agree with each other anyway. So we wouldn't have been able to do it this long if we hadn't. It's been a long road to travel with these guys, and we all still talk to each other, which is amazing.
What is in the future for Tromba? What should we be looking for?
So we're trying to get a couple of initiatives together whereby we can get some bartenders, industry types from the States down to Mexico to visit. So there'll be some more information coming up about that. We're putting together a little drinks festival in honor of the Paloma cocktail, which again is coming out relatively soon. If you haven't already seen the video for La Coa de Oro, or the Golden Coa, hit up Tromba's YouTube channel and check out that video. That festival I was talking about, there's a couple of great videos about that. We did it.
We'll be sure to
like 5 years ago, and we're trying to put that festival together again. We're going to get Marco back up to here into the States, probably the start of end of summer, start of fall kind of time. So we've got a few things coming up for sure, all geared towards again engaging people on a local level, and spreading more information about brand, about tequila in general, about the tequila drinking philosophy that we stand by. We have, now we have Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo tequila available in every market that we're in, which is exciting. And
we don't, just to be fair, we don't have the Añejo yet.
I will have to sort that out, because you want to try the Añejo before you try the Añejo before you try the extra Añejo, which is coming.
Oh my God! You're gonna kill me.
There it
You're
is.
killing me.
Wow.
So we have the Añejo.
You think this is hard to find? That extra Añejo is going to be very, very hard to find.
How long is it aged? Is it a mix? Is it a mix?
We're still figuring that out.
Okay.
Once Marco and Rodrigo are happy with the final version of the juice, they'll fill us in, and then we'll in turn fill in everybody else, I suppose.
Will it be in the same style of bottle, or are you looking at it? The trend seems to be that you put the extra añejo in a different type of bottle.
I was looking at some renders of the packaging design today. It's going to be in a hand-blown version of this bottle, so a more sort of crafted element of this bottle.
Wow.
But it's only going to be 500 ml.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Because that's going to
dibs
be
on
the rare juice to have. And so we want to get it out to as many people as we can.
That's great.
Wow.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. I can't say enough about this brand, about Tromba. Again, we were very, very proud to have them with us on our Mezcal and Tequila tour last year.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll come on board with us this coming year. I can't say enough about
it up to Chicago this time, though, Mike?
Well, we're going to Wisconsin.
And then to Michigan.
And then to Michigan.
At some point, we're going to be
going to drive through Illinois.
We're going to be in the neighborhood. So if we'll keep you posted for sure, because I would love to have you on the RV with us and the 4 cats and the dog.
If we have a good reason to get to Chicago, we will.
Yeah, we would love to, because I can't stress enough, if you're watching us and you're seeing us on the replay, make an effort to find Tromba. You will not be sorry. It started out as a craft spirit, as a craft brand. It's going to end that way. It's just a beautiful spirit, very mixology friendly, very bartender friendly. It's great in your cocktails. It's great as a sipper. These guys are so careful with this brand. They are nurturing and fostering the brand like you would your own child. And I can't wait to meet Marco and Rodrigo. One of these days we're going to meet. We're going to our paths are going to cross.
For sure.
And in Spanish or English or Spanglish, we're going to get the whole point across, because it's been, kudos to you, kudos to Eric, to Neil, your other partner, correct? Yeah, Nick, I'm sorry. You guys have just done a great job with this brand. If you're a little frustrated that you can't find it, be patient. We'll find it, and it is well worth. Good things are worth waiting for, and this is really one of those things that you want to find and delve into and spend time with, because these guys are doing it right.
What the advantage of going to California is now we have a West Coast online retailer, so you can find it.
Who are you with? Let us know who you're with.
Through Old Town Liquors.
Old Town Liquors.
Okay.
Zach Romaya. Zach, he and I were judges at Spirits of Mexico a few years back. I know Zach. I know he loves tequila. Go there.
If you're in the Midwestern region, if not Illinois, you can still purchase online from Binny's as well.
Oh, another good one.
And
Excellent.
Liquorama is another really good one for us too.
Excellent.
So,
And,
yeah,
and
the expansion's really
on the East Coast,
stuff, which is good.
where do we look for on the East Coast?
East Coast, you could probably still look at Benny's, although I'm not sure how far it stretches east. Liquorama is a good one. Yeah, if you're having some issues finding in your area, just hit us up on Facebook or on the website, and we'll direct you to your closest online retail.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Jim. It's
My
been
pleasure.
wonderful.
Thank you guys for having me.
Your story.
Thank you for sharing your story. Give everybody a high five for us, okay?
Thank you.
No, it's been great.
Oh, shit.
Nice going. Nice going. Trigger happy.
We tell people that we're only going to keep them for an hour, and then I feel bad.
Go find Tromba.
And you're yelling. You're drinking too
I'm
much Tromba.
fine. I'm not drinking enough Tromba.
Stop drinking all of it because it's not in Texas.
I know.
It is only in Southern California.
This is all I have left.
Illinois.
Mira.
The D.C. area and New York. Okay? We don't have it in Texas.
No, you don't have it in Texas.
So don't drink all my Tromba.
I got to tell you, you're going to, when it comes here or if you order it online, you're going to enjoy it. This is really a craft brand that started off as a craft brand. And these guys get it. They get it. Nick and Eric and
it's excellent tequila.
It's a great tequila.
They've done a beautiful job.
Yeah, go get it.
There's
go
pride
find
and
it.
Workmanship there, and you can taste it in the bottle. And that is the end.
Who do we have
of
next
our
week?
Show tonight.
Who do we have next week?
Next week is the 4th of July. We won't be on.
We won't be on. But guess what?
The week after that, we have the organizers of the Texas Bar and Nightclub Alliance Convention. They'll be joining us and telling us about their event in August.
That's a great show if you want to break into the Texas market.
Tune
especially
in on
Tromba
July 11th.
And anybody else that is thinking of coming to Texas, check that show out. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. In the meantime,
have a safe and happy holiday. Bye.